Hi brothers and sisters, back for a quick video. I think it's a fairly quick video. We're just going to link some passages together and show how we understand who's in view. When we backtrack into the Old Testament, we understand how they manipulate text and put he in there, that he pronoun that they're in love with. And we know they're in love with it because they're the abomination of desolation, a man inside of a man. He stole her law from her. He wrote his own law and put a yoke on her neck. Now that's what we've proven the Old Testament states, and amongst other things. So we're going to take a quick look at Revelation 5 and see what it says. It says the book with the 7 seals. Alright, well, that's the little book, I think. It's the title deed to earth is what they'll want to tell you, and indeed it is. It just don't belong to a man. It never did. Old Testament tells us that. So Revelation 5 verse 1, and I saw in the right hand of the one, we'll say, that sat on the throne, a book written within and on the backside sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. Now where do we find the book in view here? Actually, where no man can open it, all right, in the Old Testament. Can you think of a place? I can, right offhand. Verse 3, and no man in heaven nor in earth, and it's important that you actually register the word here, man, because it does mean a man. It does not mean a woman, because that is the one who is able to open the book. We're shown it in the Old Testament. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. And no man in heaven nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And we'll go down here. The Lamb is worthy. Indeed, she is worthy. They'll want to put it a he. Now, what who Joshua was, he did. He came to fulfill her 10 commandments. He did not fulfill the Torah. There was no way he could fulfill the Torah, especially when we really get looking deep into some of the laws that is connected to women and whatnot. So a man fulfilled, they'll tell us, at least I heard it many times off the pulpit, that Jesus fulfilled the Torah law. Did he? That was not the purpose of man. The purpose of man was to exalt her law. Now we're told that over and over. And that's actually what Joshua did. Jesus becomes the idol that they begin to use to speak through, as the feet of the idol that we find standing in Daniel 2. Now, verse 5 of Revelation 5, it says, and one of the elders saith unto me, weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. I'm going to show you where it is not a lion of the tribe of Judah, rather Ariel, the lioness of God, that was taken under siege, right, by the proud and boastful who did not want her law. All right? It was Ariel, right? It's not a lion from the tribe of Judah. It's not the root of David. No, again, they stick a man in here. It is the root of Israel. It is the root of Israel, our mother Israel. And she is referred to as wisdom in the Old Testament. So it is wisdom who is wise enough to open up this book. There is no man wise enough to do it. And we'll show you where it says it in the Old Testament. The Lioness, Ariel, of the tribe of Israel, will say, that is the north kingdom, referred to as the north kingdom. She is referred to as an Ephraimite. And she was from Ephratah, Bethel Ephratah is where she is from. Bethel Ephratah is where it tells us she is from. Ephratah is another name for Ephraim. That's what that is. House of Ephraim. And they'll want to tell you that this is actually Bethlehem in the New Testament. It is not. Anyway, and it tells us that, I believe, in Micah chapter 5, verse 2. She comes out of the draught house of Baal. draft house. I always say draft house. Draft house of Baal, right? Which we've understood for anybody who's been along on our study. Anyway, so, but we're told it is the root of Israel. It's not a man. And she's called Wisdom, and she prevails to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. Now, we can go forward to Revelation 10. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon not his head, her head, and her face was as it were the sun, and her feet as pillars of fire. And she had in her hand a little book open, and she set her right foot upon the sea, and her left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lioness roareth. And when she had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. Those are the daughters, who utters in the end, representing the 7-fold spirit of she, who is like God, who is daughter Israel upon the earth, known as the presence of God on earth, also known as first fruits on earth, reborn out of the dust of the earth, where they were burned to ashes. According to the Old Testament, we'll show you where we get it. And crieth when a loud voice, as when a lioness roareth. And when she had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. You know why? Because it's not appointed for them to speak on. It's only appointed for the daughters of Israel. Now, when we go to Isaiah 29. What does it say? It says, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee, and he cannot. I cannot, he says, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray thee, and he saith, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me through the vain traditions of men. This is what it says over here. It says, the Lord said, because these people approach me in their mouth to honor me with lip service, yet their hearts are far from me. You don't even know who God is, and you don't. You bow down at the feet of an idol, and you call that God. And you allow that idol to write laws saying they're from God, and to put a yoke on your neck. Yet their hearts are far from me, and their worship consists of man-made rules learned by right. But the important thing here is they'll try to tell us that Christ expanded the scriptures, yet nobody seems to know what they really mean. Oh, he did he? No, he didn't. He left a big chunk out. It was not his job to expound them. It's wisdom's job to expand them. Now, if we go to up here, verse 1, Isaiah 29, woe to Ariel, to Ariel. That's right. This is where city dwelt, where the daughter of Israel dwelt. I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as an Ariel. So Ariel here, for anybody who looks it up, it'll say Lioness of God. It doesn't say Lion of God. You'd think if it was about David, it would be Lion of God, the root. It's not. It's not at all. It tells us who this tree is. That's right, wisdom. We'll get to it in a minute. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as an Ariel, an altar hearth. That's what Ariel here means in the second passage. So the lioness of God will become an altar hearth. That's what it's saying. Where do we find her burned to an ash heap? Just for those who don't know, all right? Because we know it on this channel. We've been through it. I should have pulled this up. I did not. I have it wrote in my notes, but I knew I was probably going to want to pull it up. Just so we can find the verse for you and show it to you. And then they'll say, when a strange thing is seen in the earth, a woman shall encompass a man. Now she encompasses her head. And the Lord's number here is 136, which is why we know it is daughter Israel's number. Where does it say? Right here, verse 13. It says, while you lie among the sheepfolds, the wings of a dove are covered with silver, and its feathers with glistening gold. When you lie down among the sheepfolds, you are like the wings of a dove, covered with silver, and its pinions with glistening gold. When we go in and we look up the sheep pen or the sheepfolds, you know what the word is? It is 8240, and you know what it means? Ash heaps. That's what it means. She. You know why Israel's referred to as a heifer? Burned to ashes. It's referring to the feminine aspect that was burned to ashes, not male. Not male. She was also pierced through. We find her in Jeremiah 9. What does he say? We will go up. Oh, that my heads were waters and mine eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain. That word there, slain, is pierced. They pierced, they gnash upon them with a lion covenant, represent as a bow. In Genesis 49, verses 23-24, the teeth that they gnash on them with are akin to arrows and words. Also, your tongue is a sword that they pierce them through with their lies, to take the spirit of their covenant out of the land. That's right. And he says that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go to them, from them, for they are all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men. And they bend their tongues like their bows for lies. You get it? Their covenant takes us right back to who they were shooting at, the branches as they passed over the wall of David. As the key of David denied in the land, that's right. For the harlot spirit that they put in place, they daubed in a whole bunch of religious lies, is your idea, with the untempered mortar. And God says that wall will fall. A storm, a hailstorm will rend it in fury. And they bend their tongues like their bow for lies, but they are not valiant for the truth upon the earth, and they're not. These false prophets will prophesy and have you look to the hosts of heaven, just like they were guilty of doing in Isaiah 22, which I think also leads us back to Ariel's distress in Isaiah 29, verse 1-4. We see her in great distress, but it says it was a day of, of calamity for the Lord. And it says so in Isaiah 29. It'll take you straight to the siege that the men, even their own men, was turning on the daughters inside the nation of Israel. And it had to do with what was going on with the daughters inside that nation. They were turning on them. But they are not valiant for the truth upon the earth, for they proceed from evil to evil. That's from one generation to the next with their lies that their forefathers Baals taught them, which tickles their ears. It's like honey on their tongues. For they proceed from evil to evil, and they know not me, saith the Lord. Take ye heed, every one, to your neighbor, to your daughters. To you daughters, take heed to him. And this is what happened. For every brother, Jacob, will utterly supplant you. And every neighbor will walk with slander. And that's just what they did to the daughters of Israel inside the nation, that they burned to ashes. We see her as the head, 136 in Psalm 68, surrounded by a village of women. And then it takes us to Jeremiah 31, somewhere in there. A strange thing is seen in the earth, a woman shall encompass, not a man. A woman. It's going to feel very strange to most once you wake up and realize your head is not a man. I don't wear a man's head on this body. I wear a woman's head, and that's who's my head in heaven, is she, my mother. And so when we go to Proverbs 3, actually I'm in Psalm 77:19. This is the daughters after they led the children of Israel through the Red Sea, after they part the covenant in allegory. She is called the right hand of God. You get it in Isaiah 51, Isaiah 52, and Psalm 89. She is the one that parts the waters. Your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty water, so your footprints were not seen. They made sure to cover over your footprints. And they gnashed upon you. They mocked you, they ridiculed you, they told lies about you, and it's still going on in the courts of heaven because you have not asked for justice in the earth. You have not. Psalm 77:19, which the Bible indicates that we have to do that. So when we go to Proverbs 3, wisdom, she is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. This is it. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. The Lord by wisdom has founded the earth, and by understanding has not she established the heavens. She gave life to it, not he. Jeremiah 9, if we continue down, we know that wisdom was representative of the daughters inside the nation of Israel, called the cunning women who the men were tearing down. Where is it? Weeping in Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye and call for the mourning women. That's your cunning women, your skillful women, your wise women, your wisdom on earth. That's what they were known as. Okay? So the root that you are cut from when you're able to finally open up the book, that's right, who is worthy in the earth? The daughters of Israel, who are taught by their mother, who they are cut from, who was holy from the beginning, called wisdom. That's the only one who can open the book and expound it. It is no man who washed you in his blood. Blood don't wash you, it stains you, it makes you guilty. It is the water that washes you clean, and wisdom says, you who will hearken to me will understand this, right? So thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye and call for the mourning women, your wise women, that they may come, and send for your cunning women, that they may come, and let them make haste and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears, and that our eyelids gush out with water. For a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we spoiled? We are greatly confounded, because it says, but watch why. We have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. That took us to what kings like Hezekiah and Solomon were doing to the birthright of the daughters who had homes on the wall. That was their birthright. That's why you get the key of David in allegory. And it was their word and their law that they were to adhere to. And they decided to tear these daughters away. And in Micah 2, we get them tearing their birthright down. We do. Because it is in the power of their hands to do so. Ye hear the word of the Lord, O ye women, and let your ears receive and lament, and teach it to your daughters. For death has come up into our windows, and has entered into our palaces, to cut off our children from without, and the young men, and the young women is what they were cutting down. Speak, thus saith the Lord, even the carcasses of the men shall fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestmen, and none shall gather them. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom. Well, let's go back to Isaiah 29. What does it say? Where does it say it? Now we'll come down. It says, and the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, the lioness of God, the women inside the nation of Israel, called your wise ones, who were born out of the dust of the earth. We're also going to pick them up in Romans as your first fruits. Because the branch was holy, the lump and the root, not from David, but from Israel, our mother wisdom, was holy from the beginning. And they attacked and gnashed and accused her of all kinds of nasty things, so they could take control of the law. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, even all that fight against her and her munition, and that distress her, shall be as the dream of a night vision. This takes us back to Jacob the supplanter, who wrestled with the angel Ariel, is who he was actually wrestling with, who some says also goes by the name of Uriel, because at that time she was angry, I think. And Uriel is a name of her with fire. Yeah, anger. And she says, let me go, for the daylight breaketh, right? But she also hamstrung him. And you only hamstring an enemy. You don't do it to a friend. So they distress her. She shall be as a dream of a night vision. It shall even be as when a hungry man. We won't go on to that. We'll go down here because I want to get done. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep. Where do we find them asleep? Under a religious lie and drunk on wine. Well, we've looked at that. One falls in Psalm, I believe 74, possibly 77. is where your Lord. 136 is pictured as a warrior that's been drunk on wine. She's also an ash heap, burned to ashes. She's also been pierced, gnashed upon with her teeth to take the spirit of the covenant out of the land. The real covenant, not the lying one that you have right now called the marriage covenant of God. It's not. It's a lie. It is the covenant that will be disannulled. And here we have the deep sleep of the wine, which is your Red Sea allegory, admixture, that come in and covered her pathway over. You didn't see my pathway. We just read that verse. Because the men gnashed upon her covenant and didn't want, even the sons inside the nation of Israel were guilty of doing this. They did not want her in covenant. It says, daughter Israel, daughter Zion, has become the outcast that no man seeks a covenant with. And it was because of their lies. And they looked to degrade. Let her eyes look upon Zion. Let her be defiled. They wanted her defiled. And they created this little marriage covenant to do just that. And you can say, no, it ain't. Oh, yes, it is. It's not there if you don't want to study it. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep and has closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, has she covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And it is sealed. It is sealed for the one who can break it down. And that deed, that seal when it is broke, is the title deed to earth. And it's only wisdom that can break it. And her name is Ariel. Her name is Israel. And if we go to Romans, we get this. We'll wrap it up here. You want to look at all this stuff. It's great. It says, if the first fruits are holy, let me see, so too the lump. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. Now they'll tell you that branches, David, well, we just read wisdom is the tree. And that tree is representative of the wise women, cunning women, and we saw what they were doing to them. They were tearing their houses down, cutting them out, getting rid of them, murdering, burning them out. We saw all kinds of things that they were doing that discussed it all. So what does it say? For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead? For if the first fruits be holy. Now, who's that? That's the Shulamite with her double camp. That's 144,000. That's what that works out to, and we've showed you how. Jesus, Joshua, really, tells us that one camp is 72,000. The Shulamite is Saul with a little camp, a double camp actually, which would mean 144,000 she-goats. Also, the lilies of the covenant, who was denied their birthright in the beginning. They are also Shiloh. They are the scepter. They are the actual ruler. They are the sovereign Lord over the earth. And it was her law that was to rule. And she says, I gave you 10 commandments that you couldn't even uphold. Yeah. And I told you saw no image, make no image. Well, you made male and female, then you tore the female one down and you kept the male standing. I'm a fair God. I didn't tell you to worship my daughters. And you certainly were not to worship no son. You know what you were supposed to do? You were actually to worship the way and to follow that way. That's what you were supposed to do. But you couldn't even do that. So, for if the first fruits be holy, and this first fruit bunch here, this camp is called Mahanaim. That's right. That's the presence of God on earth called God. That's right. And it's also who Jacob wrestles and steals her birthright from. And we see the Shulamite, another name for her might be Ariel. Israel, daughter Zion, sovereign Lord, 136, denied her deed to earth from the very beginning. And they put in play a false, an image, an idol. You were never to bow down to any image or idol. Daniel 2, we see the stone, the real foundation stone, which should have been the righteous daughters of Israel, who was rejected from the beginning and accused. We saw Adam doing it. His name actually links to Satan, the accuser, we found. Yeah, Baal, your husband, who wants to rule over you, who is also the same one shooting at the branches as I pass over the wall of David. That's right, as your key of David. For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So they're called the camp of God, the presence of God, the camp of Mahanaim. Jacob becomes a supplanter. So what's the word meaning of supplanter? Define. Supplanter, because that is the meaning of Jacob's name. To take the place of another, especially by force or treachery. To root out and supply a substitute for. To gain the place of and serve as a substitute for, especially by reason of superior excellence of power. Supplantation. That's Jacob's name. And he wrestled with the angel of the Lord, who was Ariel. And they denied her rightful birthright. And it is wisdom who opens up the book. It is not a man. Christ did not expound all these things to you. You can't even begin to break down the scriptures, which is what they were doing in Isaiah 29. Oh, tell me what it means. You're educated. And they do. They've told you a whole bunch of lies, but nobody can really agree on what it means. And they won't. You turned everything upside down. You told the potter, the creator, that she had no power over the clay. You told the clay was more than the creator. That's what you told. Tells you that in Isaiah 29, yet nobody can reason it out. They don't want to. They're busy looking up at the hosts of heaven. In Isaiah 22, it says it. Why have you gone up to your rooftops? But this was the distressing day of the Lord, day of Ariel. It says, the burden of the valley of the vision. What aileth thee now that thou art wholly gone up to thy housetops? An oracle against the valley of vision. What's the matter with you? Why have you all gone up to your rooftops? That's where you are. You're still there. You're in darkness. That's why the Holy One comes like a thief in the night. Because you're in darkness. You're in a lie. The noisy city, the jubilant town is filled with revelry. Your dead did not die by the sword. They were not killed in battle. She kept them safe. That's right. All your rulers have fled together, captured without a bow. What does that mean? It means they were bribed. That's right. The sons inside the nation of Israel were bribed. They sold out. That's what they did. All your fugitives were captured together. They had fled far away. Therefore I said, look away from me. Let me weep bitterly. Who's this? This is Ariel under siege. The daughter of Israel under siege. Therefore I said, look away from me. Let me weep bitterly. Do not try to comfort me about the destruction of my dear, the daughter of my people. You get what's going on here? No. It's all about he. Can't be bothered to study the Old Testament and reason it out. It is only wisdom who can open that book. It is not a man. It never was. It was the lamb that was burned to ashes as an ash heap. That's the daughter of Israel. For it is a day of trouble and of treading down and of perplexity by the Lord God of hosts. This is 136. She was hurt by what was going on. In the valley of vision, breaking down the walls and of crying to the mountains. Now when we scroll down here, the key gets laid upon her shoulder. It's not his shoulder. It's her shoulder that the key gets laid, not his. Where is it? And the key of the house of, not David, of Israel. That's right, the daughters of Israel. Will I lay upon her shoulder, so she shall open and none shall shut, and she shall shut and none shall open. What does that mean? That means expounding the truth. You're free to walk through that door once you understand the truth. But don't fret none. She also has the power to close the door. Revelation tells you that. And then I'm done. Okay, Revelation. It is Revelation 3:7. The angel of Philadelphia. I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door which no one can shut. For you have only a little strength, yet you have kept my word, and have not denied my name. That's not the name of a man. That's not the idol. Daniel 2, that's what everybody's bowing to. God says, you saw no image of me, you make no image, you worship the way, and you follow that way. But it was the daughters of Israel, known as the camp of Mahanaim on earth, rejected from the very beginning, who held the law of heaven on their tongue that you were to receive, and you rejected them. Now, that's to be understood with anybody that has a brain, can understand, reasoning, makes sense. But men, this tickles their ears. That's why they don't escape it. And the harlot too, which is what they are. It says, he that is joined to a harlot is a harlot. So you're all the same. You're all a harlot in God's eye. And the harlot's definition in the Old Testament was an idol worshiper. You worship an idol. God says in Deuteronomy 4, you saw no image of me, make no image of me. But you do receive my law and you do walk in it. And it was my daughter's tongue that held the law. I didn't tell you to worship them. I didn't tell you to make an idol. But you did. And yeah, while it was a good thing you tore down the female idol, you left the male one standing in Daniel 2. And the kings in Babylon knew it. They knew what they were building upon over the centuries was an idol of a man that was going to keep him in power and the women yoked under that lie. And only the wise is going to see it and escape it. Only. So, there's the video. Thanks for watching. I don't know if I'll post this before I get the wisdom up and made. I might just post this one because I've got it made. And it's important to keep doing the recaps, if not for anybody else who cares, but for myself. I do intend to get to wisdom, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 days. I really do. And put that video up just as soon as I get it done. I won't hold off, I'll put it up. Thanks for watching. I pray the Lord blesses you with an abundance of wisdom, abundance of the water of truth that washes the bloodstain off of you. And I hope you're blessed with a beautiful day, a good day. And thanks for watching.